Hey guys, okay, so today's Wednesday. It's Matthew. It's, was it week 5, I think? Jeez, 5 weeks. I remember when I was waiting for this to start. I didn't think 5 weeks go by that fast. Anyways, this week's topic is, how did you know you were trans? Okay. So, I know a lot of trans guys know when they're younger. I've known, guys who have, known since they were like, 3, 4, 5, 6? Younger than 10. And then I've known guys who didn't know until they, closer when they started transitioning, 30s, 40s, 50s. Everybody's different, but personally for me, it's only been, I don't know if in the last 5 years that I realized. But I look back on a lot of my younger years and I kind of realized that, I think, it was always there, but I didn't realize it. I guess first thing, I'll go back to my childhood, just kind of work my way up. When I was younger, my uncle and my grandfather on my mother's side were very big influences on me. My grandfather was a trucker, and I always wanted to emulate him. I'd pretend to, drive a truck, and I always went on a lot of his inner city runs with him. I loved being in his truck. It was absolutely awesome. My uncle was very much an influence as well. He influenced a lot of my musical tastes, which is 80s music, a lot of rock and roll from back then. I also used to love to wear his baseball caps, and we were best buds all throughout when I was younger. I don't see him so much now, but when I do, there's still that closeness there. My grandfather since passed away, but he's always been somebody that is influenced me and somebody I've always wanted to be like, I guess you could say. But yeah, we were also very close as well. Growing up, I didn't really realize that, there was something there, because I always did, the female things. I wore the dresses, the makeup, I had the long hair. I wasn't interested in guys necessarily, but, I watched all my friends, fawn over them and stuff, and I couldn't understand what the big deal was. I briefly dated, one bio guy in the beginning and knew that wasn't for me. I did what a lot of trans guys I know do, and I came out as lesbian because that's what I thought I was for a while. I was still, doing the makeup, the long hair, the dresses, stuff like that, but I was always dating, the more butch women. And then 2003, 2004, I first started dating my first trans guy, and he really opened my eyes to a lot of things. I was there when he started his transition. He started with the testosterone and everything else, and he's been on it for quite a few years now. I started dating back in like 03, 04, so he's been on it for quite a while. I was there for the beginning of it, and not really that anything clicked at that moment, but I could relate to some of the struggles that he was going through, and it was I was glad to be there for him. It wasn't until 2005 that I started dating the second trans guy that I was ever with, and I was there for him when he started his transition. I was there for him through a lot of his psychiatrist appointments, when he first started the testosterone, throughout a lot of it, and it was around that time that I was still kind of feminine when I started dating him, but things started to click, and I really realized that there was something more to me than just kind of what I was, who I was at that moment. And I really just thought that I was butch. That's how I kind of identified for the first little while. I cut my hair really short, which nobody was used to. I started wearing men's clothing and stuff, and I really, for the first time in my life, felt extremely comfortable with who I was, and I never was, not at all. So here I was starting to get comfortable with myself, and I thought, okay, being butch, this is kind of where I'm supposed to be. And then about 2 or 3 years ago, I really started to realize, that maybe that wasn't exactly where I was supposed to be. So at some point I started going to a local group here for trans guys, and I listened to them and I talked with them, and it really, really clicked. So about 2 years ago, I came out to myself as trans, and it scared me because, I mean, my parents knew my last partner, and they were very accepting, so it's not like I didn't think they'd have a problem with it, but, you know, I was scared nonetheless. I didn't know how my friends would react, I didn't know how my family would react, so I basically kept it to myself, but it got to the point where it was like, if I didn't say something, I was gonna, you know, explode. There was no way I could keep it inside. There was no way that I could, you know, not say to anybody, okay, you know, this is how it is, this is what I have to do, you know, this is it. So I came out to my parents in the summertime, and my mom didn't talk to me for about a day. And it's not that she didn't accept it or, you know, wasn't fine with it, and she just needed to process it for a bit, but they've been supportive ever since. Told a couple of my friends, the first one right away was very supportive. She's like, you know, if that's what you need to make you happy, you know, I will be there for you. Not a problem. My other friend, she's sort of coming around now. She was really afraid that, you know, once I started taking tea, everything would change. I said, you know, outer appearance, yeah, it's definitely going to change, but inner appearance is, you know, the inner me is still going to be the same. That's not going to change at all. Not now, not ever, you know, whether I took tea or I didn't, it's not going to change. I'm still going to be me. But I was afraid for a little while of coming out to family and other friends, because I figured, you know, I didn't really want to lose anybody, but I've gotten to the point now in the last couple months where it's like, you know, I would rather, you know, be loved for, or be hated for who I am than, you know, be loved for something I'm not. And recently, like, I have a Facebook page, and I recently, within the last 2 or 3 weeks, actually went ahead and put in my status that I was transgendered, and that, you know, I'm changing my name. I put, you know, Matthew, and that, you know, I want to be called by male pronouns, everything else, and part of me was scared, but another part of me was like, you know, you either love me or you don't. That's, you know, not my problem if you don't. You can't accept it, then I'm sorry, you don't need to be in my life anyways. So I didn't look at my status for about a day, because I figured, oh my god, I don't want to know what everybody was saying. But luckily for me, every response I got, whether it was friend or, well, I didn't necessarily get any family member responses back, but all of my friends, including a couple of my trans friends, you know, well, a couple of my trans friends were like, you know, it's about time, you know, you took long enough, because they knew a while back, because I, you know, came out to them first, of course. And then, you know, other friends were like, you know, way to go. If that makes you happy, then, you know, go for it. So, for me, I knew a little bit later in life that I was trans, but, you know, everybody's different, and whether you knew when you were a kid, whether you're coming out, you know, as a teenager, or whether you're coming out later in life. Like, you know, a few months ago when I came out, I was still, you know, I just turned 30 in March. So here I am coming out in my 30s, I'm just starting to transition now. You know, I've known guys who start transitioning in their 40s and 50s. It doesn't really matter when you come out. The point is, you know, that you come out and you're happy with yourself, and this is what you need to do, and you know it, and you're going for it. You know, I think that's what really, really matters. My happiness is, you know, something that I've really been struggling with the last few years. Sorry, my eyes kind of bugging me right now. But I think that, you know, if it's who you are, and it's really something that you know you need to do for yourself, then regardless of whether anybody, you know, likes it or not, you know, you definitely have to go for it. So I guess that's about it. That's week 5. That's the topic. And that's how I knew it was trans. So I guess I will talk to you guys next week. Whatever the subject is, you know, we'll ramble about it again next week. But hopefully you guys have a good rest of your week. You have a good rest of your Wednesday. And I will talk to you guys later.